for someone who's never heard of Flare before, can you define it easily as in one clear phrase? What problem does it solve in the blockchain space? Either one. We could start with Whale, and then we'll go to Steve.
Okay. Yeah. So basically, Flare, it's a EVM chain, a layer 1 chain. EVM means the Ethereum virtual machine, which is the code that it gets used to create smart contracts on Web3. The difference that the unique thing that Flare has is that the oracles are enshrined. What this means is that the oracles are part of the protocol. So you have chains like Chainlink, which is a layer 2 from Ethereum, and then the oracles are programs that are built on top of the blockchain. Flare has its oracles built into the security and the functioning of Flare. So if Flare is working, that means that the oracles are working. And I think that without going too much into depth, that creates decentralized data. And a clear example, a couple of weeks ago or a month ago, we had massive liquidations and we had a lot of oracles failing. And Flare, the way that it works is that you have 100 validators pushing data. If the 100 validators agree that that data is good, it gets pushed into the network. So there's very little room for manipulation. And what this means is when you have financial products and value on decentralized finance products, bad data can create a cascade of events. So one thing that happened is that like everybody was panicking and the collapse and the liquidation and everything, and protocols were being shut down all over the place. I was entering liquidity pools 5 minutes later because I saw that there was very little liquidity at that range and that it was a good opportunity. So, I mean, I was talking with other people and they didn't even think about how Flare was just working. And I think that that is very valuable because the integrity of data for this, quick example, you lend your XRP and then one oracle says that XRP is much lower. That can trigger a liquidation cascading event. So with Flare, you can guarantee that the price that is being pushed into the chain, it's decentralized and it's agreed by the whole Flare validation or consensus. So that makes it very powerful. Do you want to add something, Steve?
Yeah, let's dive into that a little bit more. Steve, what do you have to add? One of the things that popped in my head right away for the dipper-toers, what the heck is an oracle?
Yeah, I do have one quick statement, and then we can dive into that oracle. But for me, when I hear Flare described, what comes to mind is it's an economic union and an economic utility for tokens. Bringing those tokens, whether it's a non-smart contract token like XRP or a smart contract token, bringing those together, that union, right? So Flare has had a number of taglines since launch. It was the blockchain for data. It was all the data and all the money, and really the idea is bridging opportunities from an economic perspective to use those tokens to get maximum utility out of your token. And that's what Flare is about. It's about not only smart contract, but non-smart contract. And there's a lot of money out there in the non-smart contract world. We know XRP is one of those, BTC, Ethereum is not, but we've got XLM, so there's a lot of money out there for non-smart contract tokens, and they have no true utility per se, and that's what Flare is about, trying to give them utility.
Oh,
is he there?
Yep, you're starting to cut in and out. Can you explain what an oracle is? Yeah, you are, unfortunately.
Okay, that's okay. Yeah, so the challenge with any blockchain is, obviously a blockchain is secure. It's a closed protocol. The challenge is how do I get that real world data and use that data to where it can be used in the blockchain? And the responsibility of an oracle is to do just that, is to safely and securely bring outside of the blockchain world data, real world data, right? RWA, we've heard those terminologies, pricing, things of that nature, states, conditions, to take that data, bring it safely and securely into the blockchain. Well, that's the job of an oracle. That's what Chainlink does right now. Everyone knows Chainlink, right? Because that's in the Ethereum world. Well, Flare obviously has built that component, that protocol into the blockchain itself. The oracles are built in, so you don't have to go to a Chainlink and say, hey, go get me some data, check it, bring it in. Flare has that automatically built into within this protocol, to where there's the oracles, there's an FDC, which is a state or data connector, which we'll talk more about. But the oracle is all about how do you get data into the blockchain so they can be utilized. That's the job of an oracle. Flare has it built in to their protocol.
Yeah, they're basically witnesses. Like that could be another word for an oracle. They're witnesses. So, for example, let's say that Melissa wants to send Steve some XRP on the XRP ledger. Flare has the capacity to observe and prove on chain that Melissa did send Steve that money, to keep it very simple. So basically, oracles are witnesses, and the thing that Flare has is that can do it for on-chain events. That means for other blockchains or Flare itself, or for off-chain events that can be data from a Web2 platform, for example. So let's say that you want to buy a ticket. The website can say, okay, Web2, we're going to buy a ticket. The payment gets processed. The oracles verifies the payment, and then sends that information back to the website and prove that that payment has gone through. So just with the witnesses is an easy word for this, I think.
What's the single most common question you get from XRP holders that are new to Flare? Like, what's the most common question you guys get? Whoever wants
Where's
to
the
go
yield
first.
come from? Where's the yield come from?
Yeah, and we can go into that a
Isn't it
little bit
later?
further.
Yeah, we'll go into it later. So it's all about the money is what the main
I'm not
questions
giving up my
are.
custody.
Right?
I'm not giving up my custody. Can I do it on my ledger?
Yeah, that is so. Yeah, that would be my question too. Is like, the thought of changing my XRP into FXRP makes me go, oh, I don't know if I want to do that. So, but we'll get into that a little bit later. So I want to move on to explain Flare. So from what I know, Flare is a layer 1 blockchain. What exactly does that mean? How does it focus on data intensive use cases like secure data feeds, and for apps like you were talking about the secure data feeds? How does that differ from other blockchains like Ethereum? So I don't know if you want to go first.
Speak to that since we're talking. Yeah, let Will kind of speak to that, because he was already kind of talking to that, and that's probably a good thing for him to build on.
Absolutely.
Yeah, for sure. So Ethereum, the thing is that it's programmable money. Like Ethereum, what it did, and it's great, is that they created the Solidity language, which is the programming language that gets used to write smart contracts. The problem with Ethereum, as we know, is that it's pretty slow and it's pretty expensive. So one thing that Flare has, which is an incredible thing, and it's something that I always tell people, Flare is a great place to learn things about blockchain because it's fast and it's cheap. It's as cheap and as fast as the XRP ledger. So basically what Flare did is, okay, we're going to use the technology from Ethereum. We're going to use the speed of the XRP ledger. And I think they use the consensus from Avalanche. So it's like a little hybrid blockchain that gets the best of different blockchains and puts them together. So if you want to learn things about blockchain, Flare is a great place because you can literally start with $5 and do hundreds of transactions and you still have change. My DeFi journey on Ethereum would have been hundreds of thousands of dollars. Like sometimes I do more than 100 transactions in a day. And if I was paying $5 every transaction, like you can add it up. It's crazy. So Flare has been a great place for me to learn about different things. Now I'm starting to do a little bit of programming on Web3 as well. So it's been a great place for me to learn. And then the good thing is that if you learn there, if I want to go to Sui, I can go there and I can figure it out in seconds because like all the DeFi platforms have the same principles even if the UI, the user interface is a little bit different.
Yeah, I feel you. It's like accounting software. Once you learn one, it's kind of intuitive. You kind of know where things should be, how they work, and so that kind of resonates with me as well. Steve, do you have anything to add to that?
No, I think he did a good job. Again, just highlighting the fact that, being a layer one, Flare is different because it has built-in, the
You're cutting out. You're cutting out, unfortunately.
Bridges, if you will, right? That's the EF assets built in. Am I rugging? I'm going to answer this question, then I'm going to flip over to my moment. It has built in.
Yeah.
You hear me? Okay, cool.
You probably got to switch to your phone. Yep.
I will. Go ahead.
All right, no worries.
Okay, I can take over real quick. So
Okay.
one thing that Flare is trying to do is that decentralized finance, we have to think that these blockchains are new economies. So DeFi or decentralized finance, Flare or Anugo wants to make it that is the backbone of the Flare ecosystem. That is where the economic value comes from. So if you have an ecosystem that can sustain itself, then everything else that gets built on top is economically sustainable. So that is the part that is happening. So DeFi is one part, and then the oracles and the verifiable data, it's another part. And there's so many rabbit holes that you could go. So it's kind of hard to talk about one aspect of Flare because there are use cases that I'm sure that in 5 years, we haven't even thought about them.
Let's get them back in here.
Can you hear me?
We can hear you perfectly now.
Yeah, awesome. Much better.
Can you just re-say what you said before you started rugging?
Yes, absolutely. Sorry about that.
No worries.
We did plan for a contingency backup. Yeah. I was just saying that Flare being a layer one, how they're different is the built-in bridges and data connectors. Well talked about that, how it's already built in within the network, which is significantly different than any other layer one out there, or layer two, or whatever layer you want to go to. That's the differentiator with Flare.
Okay. And Enrique, you were talking about developing, building, learning how to code on it. So one of my questions is, if Flare is EVM compatible, how does it allow developers to build smart contracts without starting from scratch? Or is that a true statement or not? I don't know.
Well, the thing so there's two parts to that question. One is that because it's EVM compatible, that means that any project that it's on Arbitrum, Polygon, Ethereum, whatever other chains, they can migrate and start on Flare pretty quickly because the language is the same language. They both speak Japanese, if you will.
Right. Okay.
So that makes the migration for a developer or a project on another chain to come into Flare very easy. It's not like what's the name of the Stellar? Oh, I forgot right now. But Stellar has its own XLM, but they have like a programming language in there. I can't remember exactly what's the name.
I can't remember it either.
Anyways, that is a completely different language. Sui has a completely different language. So it's like one is talking Japanese and the other one is talking Spanish. So Flare has that advantage that speaks the same language as where most of the projects are currently, which is Ethereum and its layer 2s. Now, for somebody starting, I'm doing projects that are small and that are not public because unfortunately smart contracts have vulnerabilities. And right now I do not have the funds to be able to pay for audits. So everything that I'm doing, it's more like a learning process where I do little side projects. I figure it out. I do it in a private repo. I'm not sharing my keys. No one's connecting to my programs. And it's just been a way for me to understand further how things work inside the Flare network.
That makes sense. So how does Flare's design ensure that it's secure and scalable for real world applications, especially compared to XRP's payment focus. So if you're building something on Flare, how does it ensure that it's secure and scalable? Do you know?
Well, the thing is that Flare is a protocol in reality. Like you have Flare Foundation, which is akin to Ripple, which is a private centralized company. And then you have Flare Network, which is a decentralized blockchain, the same way that the XRP ledger is decentralized. There's no CEO, there's all the decentralization. So Flare Networks does not really enforce that the users or the programmers have to be secure. Like ultimately, it's the responsibility of the programmer to make sure that if you're working with other people's money, that they take every single step available to make it secure. So that's programs happening on the Flare networks. Now, if we talk about the protocols that the Flare Foundation is launching on Flare, that's a different story. So Steve was talking about the F-asset system, which is a bridge from non-smart contract chains into the Flare networks. Flare, and that's been one of the biggest criticisms of Flare, is that it takes forever to launch FXRP. And the thing is that they went first on the Canary network, which is called Songbird, and they tested, they made the mistakes and found out the bugs and the things that could be improved. They changed it, they made other audits, then it's been a long journey of testing, improving, polishing, doing audits, and making sure. Hugo has said many times that for him it's extremely important that when he's working with other people's money, that they are doing absolutely everything that it's in their power to make sure that it's as secure as possible. Does that mean that it's foolproof and that there's absolutely nothing that could happen? I don't think we will ever get to that point, but there is a difference between launching a product in a week than taking over 4 years to make sure that your product is the best. And in my experience, the F-asset system has been incredible. I had a bad experience with other XRP product just earlier today where they say redeem in 2 days and it was a week and I wasn't getting my XRP back. And with Flare, I don't even think about it. I've been in and out many times. I can show you guys later, do a little demo about it. So it just gives me the trust that I can bring my hard-earned XRP and then create yield with it. And that yield is not automatic. There is risk, of course, and I think at this point the risk is more user-based than the protocol-based. Like you can make mistakes and lose money, but it's different than somebody else making a mistake and then you don't even see it coming.